Continues into 3 deaths in custody. The row over Tasmania's GST money reignites. A thief reveals more than expected during a ram raid robbery. The Reserve Bank leaves interest rates on hold, and history made at Flemington in this year's Melbourne Cup.
This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. Both the state government and opposition appear increasingly at odds with their federal parties over future GST rates. Labor says a rise should be at least considered, but the state Liberals insist they won't support any changes.
Tasmania already does well in the GST carve-up, but doubts remain over whether it's enough to fund essential services. Labor says budget savings alone may not be sustainable long-term and are urging the government to at least discuss a rise with interstate colleagues.
The first signs have emerged tonight of dissent within federal government ranks against any talk of hiking the GST. One government senator says he won't vote for it, despite another sign today the budget is in trouble, losing a further $9 billion.
The fascination of the fascinator set.
I've never been in so many selfies at the same time.
Malcolm Turnbull was the favourite of this pub's Cup Day do. The tax office's annual report showing receipts for 2014-15 $9.4 billion less than predicted in the budget. Not a very nice picture.
A coronial inquest into 3 deaths in the Tasmanian prison system has heard that inmates can wait months before getting medical attention. Former and current inmates giving evidence into the death of Scott Mitchell, saying he attempted to see a nurse just days before his passing.
Scott Clifford Mitchell's devastated parents leaving a coronial inquest into their 23-year-old son's death, his father bearing the family name. Mr Mitchell died from a suspected heart condition in his cell at Risdon Prison. Today, 3 inmates gave evidence about the events that unfolded around 5:30 on July 31 this year. The court heard Mr Mitchell had complained of chest pains several days before his death. Inmate Andrew Purcell telling the court Mr Mitchell clutched the left side of his chest and sat back on the seat, but later laughed it off and was joking again. Purcell giving evidence that Mr Mitchell had sought medical attention, but had said he didn't want to talk about it. The inquest continues. Caitlin Barry, Southern Cross News.
And we'll have more on this year's Melbourne Cup race in sport with Michael. But stay with us for now, because still to come tonight, a plan to make drivers self-breath test every time they get in their car, and the long arm of the law used to load pallets of food for needy families. Welcome back. Another permanent speed camera in the state is set to go live from midday tomorrow. The latest installation on the Tasman Highway at Cambridge is the 5th to be rolled out this year. Meanwhile, a camera planned for Invermay has been abandoned due to engineering issues, and an alternative site is now being found. Tasmania Police says $470,000 project will free up police for other road safety duties. Michael Maney will be joining us with a look at the day's sport news a little later in our bulletin, with a more in-depth look at Prince of Penzance' shock win in the Melbourne Cup. The mind games begin as Australia and New Zealand prepare for the first test. And Jared Hayne remains with the San Francisco 49ers practice squad. Those stories for you shortly, but first, after the break, a look at the day's headlines, including Phil Walsh's son back in court, charged with his father's murder, and the train-loving town of Sheffield featured at an international festival taking over Tasmania. And now a look at more of the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed over 1% higher after the Reserve Bank kept the cash rate unchanged, but indicated it is prepared to cut the rate if needed. The ASX 200 index rising 73.4 points. Short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.02 US cents and 65.36 euro cents. Well, Michael Maney joins us now as we take a look at the day's sport news. And Michael, the mind games begin before the first cricket test.
Yes, Joe, and surprise, surprise, Dave Warner's fired the first shot. Also tonight, we take a closer look at how the $101 chance Prince of Penzance shocked the nation.